So basically, this shit happened. This was crazy. Trump got rid of pronouns. That's it. It's done. Preferred pronouns in the federal government are now was and were. That's a fact. Federal employees are now told to remove pronouns from email signatures by the end of the day. They are going really far with this, and I said it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen, and you know who else knew it was going to happen? Fucking everybody. Everybody knew this shit was going to happen. And, yep, there you go. Emails are back. Yeah, I guess so. And you even have, there's some people, I saw this before too. Take a look at Pete Buttigieg. This is, he ran for president in 2020. And he had his pronouns. Now he doesn't. They're gone. And so there it is. And yeah, it's looking like a lot of people using the pronouns. That stuff is pretty much done. I don't really think this should be as a surprise to anybody. I think that people don't like the idea of compelled speech. People don't really, I think that like the he and she, I think that most people can get along with that. Most people understand that. You go to they, I think that you're getting to like probably 10% of people that understand that. You get to Z, unless you're talking about that guy that runs China, I feel like pretty much nobody understands that. That's it. That's what I think we're at, and I think that's pretty much what everybody voted on. They, them is just confusing. Yep, there we go. And people, the only people that want us to be seen as a person who understand this shit, yeah, I don't know. But as a non-native speaker, they, as a third person singular, felt really awkward to use. Yeah, it can technically be used as a singular. I used to think that it wasn't able to. I looked it up. It turns out it was. It's a really interesting question. Like, where does Pride Month stand now that we've seen a very big cultural shift? Now, I want to think about this. Think about how it was, I guess, 4 months ago, right? I was looking at the calendar. How it was 4 months ago. Different than it is now. I think a lot can happen in 4 months, and I would not be surprised. Like, the thing is that we can't really predict what's going to happen because it's like kind of unprecedented, like the amount of change and like how fast it's happening, at least in like my recent memory. But there is a good chance that if things become even more conservative and even more, you know, like against like LGBT stuff, that a lot of companies call off Pride Month. I think there's a very, very good probability of that happening. Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely. And so the reason why, so this is what, like, why would a company do this? It's very simple. So companies do Pride Month primarily to make money. And by primarily, I mean completely. So companies do Pride Month because they're hoping that people that support the cause will see the company positively and maybe buy a shirt with a rainbow on it, right? That's clearly the idea. Or a trans flag or anything else. It's money. So if the company thinks that it's going to make more money supporting and selling rainbow flags and stuff like that, then they'll do it. But if they think that they'll end up losing money and it will end up being a detriment to the product and it will hurt them, then they will not do it. So I think the decision will probably very much be a temperature check that happens somewhere around in April or May. And there could be a good chance that Bud Light, well, so Bud Light was the first example, but you saw even Target roached out completely. And Target was pushing stuff for like trans. Yeah, I heard for like even in a kids section, right? Which is like, that's something that a lot of people disagree with, right? But Target was pushing this like last year. And so now, not only did they go back on that, but they roached out of the whole fucking thing. There's no more DEI at Target at all. They even put out a post about it. So, and Musk is pulling a Twitter and locking federal employees out of their computers. And so, yeah, there you go. As a bisexual, it's just sad that my sexuality is something that's being used to sell. It sucks as fuck. Here's the truth. And I think this is even true for trans people. We don't give a fuck. Just act like a normal person. Everybody's going to get along. There's going to be no problems. You want to suck a dude's dick, suck a dude's dick. You want to dress up in a dress, dress up in a dress. Don't give a fuck. Just be polite, be respectful, be reasonable. Don't be aggressive. Treat people with respect, and there's going to be no problem. That's it. That's it. You do that, and you're going to solve 90%, 95%, 99% of your problems. Now, it doesn't mean you won't have problems, but it means you're going to solve a lot of them. And I think that, like, I mean, for those of you guys that are, like, more, what do you call it? More conservative. How do you guys feel about that? Is that the way that you feel too? Feel the same. Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, really. And so that's really what it is. And don't force it. It's all good. Yeah, it's all good. People treat each other with respect. AOC removed her pronouns. Did she? Let me see. Yep. But I think that happened a while ago, didn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it did. How the turntables? Well, I mean, people knew this was going to happen, right? I mean, everybody knew this shit was going to happen. Let's be honest. I think that pronouns, people were very, very unhappy about it. People really didn't like pronouns, so it's not a surprise that people are pushing back on it super hard. So the trans community is supposed to just keep their mouth shut while rights are being taken away. You can make emotional arguments as much as you want. At the end of the day, people just don't want to hear about it. So, like, if you don't like that, then I think it's totally fair for you to be frustrated. But at the end of the day, you can't expect the whole world to carry your cross. That's it. What rights? No, I think they are going to take away... So, like, for example, like the right to identify as a gender on, like, your state ID card. I think that is a right that they had that they will no longer have. The right to be in military service, that's not a right. Okay, so you're getting specific in the term rights. That's fair. Privileges, options, availabilities, whatever you want to call them, there were options that trans people could take advantage of that other people could also take advantage of, and now they can no longer do that. So there is, like, you know, imagine the scope of what a trans person could do is this big. Now it's this big. They made it smaller. You want to get an argument about, like, what the vocabulary for what that definition is, that's totally fine. But their options are there. Or sorry, there are less options. So play pretend is okay. Look, I've given my opinion on this 50 fucking times. I'm not going to say it again. My point is that you're not going to get people to carry your cross. It's just simply not going to happen. And also, another reality that I think a lot of these people need to realize is that a lot of people don't like trans people. They don't. And in the West, it is very, very much more accepted than the rest of the world. Way more accepted. So I get that you guys, I understand it, and I sympathize absolutely. Like, I'm not in support of taking away rights either. I think it's ridiculous, or privileges or options. I think it's crazy. But at the same time, like, I don't really like gambling. Like, here's an example, right? Like, I really don't like gambling. I think gambling's bad. I don't like alcohol either. I wish that in a perfect world, nobody drank alcohol and nobody gambled ever. That's what I believe. I believe this. I think the world would be a better place if that was the case. That being said, boring? Sure, right? I recognize that I am the minority. And just because I want it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Because there's too many people out there that disagree with me. That's how we do it in Islam. Hey, I said I have a lot of fans in the Middle East. Right? You don't see me eating a lot of bacon. You don't see me drinking alcohol. I'm not gambling. I got no credit cards. You know, like, I usually, you know, I almost practice. It's Ramadan, right? You don't eat when the sun's up. I usually eat at night only too. Yeah, no, hey, I'm there in a lot of ways, right? It's weird. But anyway, so do you think alcohol is worse than weed? I do. I think that alcohol is a lot worse than smoking weed. I think that neither of them in moderation are very bad, but I think that they're not good. But yeah, that's it. Anyway, it's the extreme thing that bothers you. Yeah, no doubt. And anyway, so pronouns are dead. That's it.